From 1965 to 1974, during a 9-year military operation, over 280,000 military personnel and over 400,000 civilians had died in Vietnam. This stems from key miscommunication in tactics and failed missions. Hello, my name is Luke Carpenter, and today I will inform you about how miscommunication and misunderstanding between U.S. leaders, soldiers, and the public contribute to one of the most controversial conflicts in American history. As one of the most studied wars in U.S. history, the lessons from Vietnam continue to shape military strategies and diplomatic communication today. Along with the abundance of studies, I've been personally studying the Vietnam War since high school. Let's begin by examining how political and military leaders created total chaos between each other. Political leaders often micromanage military operations without consulting any generals on the ground. President Lyndon B. Johnson and Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara imposed bombing restrictions that hindered military effectiveness. In 2013, Angela wrote, "The limitations on bombing campaigns reflected a lack of trust in military leaders and undermined their ability to fight strategically. That began a lack of clarity in war objectives that led to confusion among commanders." As Hassan noted in 2021, the fixation of body counts as a measure of success created a distorted view of the war's reality. This began generals overstating progress to secure continued support, altering reality. Reports on body counts were inflated to present an illusion of success. Military officials often manipulated metrics to maintain political backing, creating a false narrative of progress, as Hassan noted. The credibility gap emerged as the media revealed a much different reality. In 2018, Sujin explained that the erosion of public trust stemmed from conflicting reports between military leaders and independent media coverage. Unfortunately, miscommunication wasn't just confined to its leaders. It also affected soldiers on the ground. Soldiers were often given vague or unrealistic objectives. Guerrilla warfare tactics used by the Viet Cong were far misunderstood by U.S. forces. The American military, structured for conventional warfare, struggled against the Viet Cong's asymmetric tactics. As Angela wrote, "Inconsistent orders led to unnecessary casualties and low morale." Sujin describes how frequent changes in command objectives confused troops and diminished morale. This also began a lack of cultural understanding, which then further complicated operations. Many soldiers were not trained to navigate the complex political landscape of South Vietnam. The failure to grasp local social political dynamics alienated South Vietnamese civilians, as Angela observed. Hassan then expressed that poor cultural training resulted in further isolation from potential allies within Vietnam. This ignorance led to alienation from local populations. Hearts and minds were irreversibly lost due to military's cultural insensitivity, wrote Sujin in 2018. This miscommunication extended further all the way to the American public perception of the war. Government officials failed to provide honest updates about the war. Especially the Tet Offense in 1968 shattered the public's belief that the victory was near. The offense demonstrated the stark reality of conflicting, contradicting, optimistic official statements, as Hassan noted. Media coverage exposed the brutality and futility of the war. The credibility gap led to widespread anti-war protest. Trust in the government deteriorated. As Angela explains, that the widening trust gap between civilians and officials fueled civil unrest. In turn, soldiers returning home were often met with hostility rather than support. Altogether, by understanding the impact of miscommunication in the Vietnam War, we can better appreciate the importance of clear and honest communication in both military operations and public policy. In conclusion, miscommunication was a failure of the Vietnam War between political and military leaders, commanders and soldiers, and with the American public.